Mike, where tourists used to stand to view the majestic Twin Towers, they now stand and gaze at the gap left by the terrorists. And speaking of tourists, I met up with one today, Tom Sharrard, president of Milwaukee's Time Warner Cable, who, unlike most Milwaukeeans, did not view this tragedy at home on television. He was right here in New York, and he still is.
I was in New York City for business on the weekend, and we were in fact on our way back to LaGuardia Airport when the first plane hit. We were in the cab. We came out of the tunnel in Queens and looked around, and at that point we're looking directly south, and both towers are now totally engulfed in smoke. At that point, I think the most frightening thing was the unknown. Our only thought was to try and get back to our son, and at that point every one of the bridges and tunnels were shut down. What's happening is literally thousands of people are now walking out of the city across the bridge, and there's a handful of us who are walking into the city. And I think that was probably the scariest time when we're walking across the bridge, because we're now walking across the bridge towards Manhattan, and we're looking to the south, and as we're walking, we're looking at, we're literally looking at the towers, and we're looking at the smoke going over, and we're not sure whether what's going to happen or if they're going to hit the bridge, and all we could think of was we need to get across this bridge as quickly as we can. It was so strange to be on the street with literally thousands and thousands of people on the street, because the subways were shut down, there was no cabs, and there was almost this kind of hush over the city, and as we're walking down Park Avenue, you can see the smoke in the distance directly south, and it was a very eerie feeling, just unlike anything I've ever experienced before. The country that we live in, and the freedoms we've taken for granted, and just the ability to travel where you want to and feel some sense of security, it's an innocence that we've lost forever.
Tom and his wife are booked to fly out of LaGuardia on Saturday, but it's looking doubtful. In fact, he says they're thinking about renting a car and driving back to Milwaukee. In New York, Lynise Weeks, today's TMJ4. Mike?